Right, good afternoon. It's 3:30, so let's get started. We have a half-an-hour webinar ahead of us. I'll start just by introducing myself. My name is Richard Marett. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Whizz Education, which was founded 16 years ago on the belief that every child deserves a learning experience that caters to their individual needs and pace of learning. And that's because your child, just like every other child, has their unique needs and deserves attention specifically targeted to their particular needs. I've been very fortunate. My background's in mathematics, and in the last 16 years, I've had the opportunity to, and in fact, continue to advise governments on how to raise standards in mathematics. We work with schools and we work with parents like yourselves who simply want the best for their children. So let me start with just by thanking you all for taking the time to come and join this webinar. It's been an extraordinary couple of months, very challenging. With schools closures, the challenges for parents have been immense. We've been, talking to so many parents, many of them feeling really large levels of anxiety at times. What can they be doing for their child? How can they support their learning and development? And frankly, how can they have a few moments of peace for themselves? And so in this session, we'll be answering that along with showing you how to make progress for your child, not just during school closures, but actually throughout their school career. So let's get started with hopefully this. Oh, I've got to just work out how to, oh, there we go. Right, this is what we're going to be covering in this session. In fact, let me just start. In the title, we talked about how virtual tutoring can revolutionize your child's learning. Let's explain what virtual tutoring is, because it's not in the sort of common lexicon. You're all familiar with the potential of getting a private tutor for your child, and a private tutor is able to attend to your child's individual learning needs. A virtual tutor is quite simply an online system that uses intelligent learning technologies to simulate the behavior of a private tutor. It's a simulated private tutor. So your child can log in and a system will identify the strengths and weaknesses of your child and then give lessons in the form of interactive animations targeted specifically for your child's needs and continually adapting the way a private tutor would. So when we use virtual tutoring, just think of it as an online simulated virtual tutor. Just to be clear, it is not a human tutor sitting on a Skype call somewhere else. It's all simulated. And that has several advantages in that it allows us to create tutoring experiences in a gamified way, which children really respond very well to. It never runs out of patience. And it can also give us data and reports so we can see how our children are progressing. So that's what a virtual tutor is. So it gives you some context for the remainder of this, session. So in the agenda, what I'm going to cover is the specific circumstances we face in COVID-19 and the learning loss that many families will be seeing with their children. And also, as we prepare to go back to school, the reality of learning in classrooms and some of the limitations that we can support. I'll then be making an introduction to our Maths-Whizz online virtual tutoring system. If we have time, I'll do a quick demo as well. And the most important thing for the parents logging into this session, we have parents from all over the world joining. The advice section is really important. I'd love you to pay attention all the way, but the advice section is where your attention will be most well rewarded. Because by working in partnership with you as parents, we can get the best results for your children. And obviously, I'll also give you some next steps on how to get started, the simple practical things that we need to do to get moving. And my intention is to leave us a little bit of time for Q&A at the end. My colleagues Hannah and Junaid are on hand. Hannah, who runs our support team, she's just brilliant. Her and her team are there to help you. Our Director of Education is also online, so if you do have questions, do put them in chat and we'll cover as many of them as we possibly can at the end of this session. There will be a follow-up email with a recording of this, and if you do have any queries that don't get covered, you can write to support@whizzeducation.com or at whizz.com, and we'll help you out there. Right. Without further ado, let's get started. So let's talk about what are COVID-19 and school closures? What are the implications of that? The truth is no one really quite knows. Teachers and schools have done a terrific job trying to really evolve to deliver distance learning, and they've done so with varying degrees of success with little or no notice. It's been a very challenging time. In some cases, they've been able to help tick over learning, in some cases more, and in some cases less. And we don't know what the actual implications will be, and they'll no doubt vary from situation to situation. But what we do have data on is the impact of summer learning loss. So in many countries, there's a summer holiday, usually 6 to 8 weeks long. And I can tell you the data is really, really clear. During that period, most students lose approximately 2 months worth of learning. And what that means to you is that a child, when they finish their school year, is actually ahead compared to when they start the following school year. So they've got to spend some time catching up. Teachers face this challenge when, in the Northern Hemisphere, when schools typically start back in September, they've actually got to cover old ground and bring them back up to speed. It doesn't have to be that way. With a targeted learning experience, for example, with a private tutor or a virtual tutor of just an hour a week, even in the summer holidays, not only can you avoid summer learning loss, but you can actually get summer learning gains so that your child can start the new school year really with quite a significant advantage. Now that applies even more so in 2020 because we've had disruption due to COVID-19. So it's really timely that you've joined this seminar because it's something that you can get started with immediately and support your child with a progressive learning opportunity that will support them during the closures, when the school reopens, if the summer holidays turn out as they normally do, when they restart in September and beyond. And it's a really meaningful difference. It can make a 3 or 4 months difference in terms of learning gains throughout the year. Now, many countries are hoping to gradually unlock, and gradual or complete return to school is potentially imminent in many countries. But what happens in schools? So around the world, teachers are facing incredible challenges, even in normal times, because they will typically have 20, 30 or more children in a class. They have 45 minutes. And there is a wide range of ability that they need to cater for whilst delivering the curriculum. In practice, that makes it very, very difficult for them to attend to every child's individual learning needs consistently. And what makes matters even more challenging is every child has different strengths and weaknesses. And what that means is gaps in a child's knowledge can develop at any time that may or may not be addressed. If they're not addressed, it can impact their progress in the subject, ultimately impacting their confidence. And we have so many adults who grow up thinking that they're not good at mathematics, and it doesn't have to be that way. We're all innately good at it, actually. But if you do, maths builds foundations of knowledge upon, stacked upon each other, and when a gap is not addressed, it can create problems. As I said, it's amazing. This 4-year gap, by the way, is in every country we've worked in. It doesn't matter if you're in Thailand, the UK, in Latin America, Africa, you got this 4-year gap, and that applies to the UK. Also applies to private schools as well as state schools. The challenge, as I said, is even more because every child has their own strengths and weaknesses. So this is some data we got on an actual child that we support. It's a young lady, a young girl. And you'll see the red bars are where she started when we first started working with her. And she was pretty good at decimals and pretty good at multiplication and division. But you may notice she had a very significant challenge in place values. She was quite a lot, she was stuck. And what we don't know from the data is why she was stuck. Was she away when this subject was taught? Did she just lost concentration? Was she distracted? Did the way the teacher explained it just not quite connect with her? It could have been one of a million reasons. But the bottom line is that she was stuck. And in mathematics, when you're stuck, you're just not able to progress. And if that's not picked up and addressed, that can have implications, because ultimately mathematical topics support each other. It could affect her development. It could affect her confidence going forward, and ultimately her self-belief as to whether she's good at maths or not. For those of you logging in with children between the ages of 7 and 9, that is actually it's not commonly known, but that's a critical age. Between 7 and 9, most children make a conscious or subconscious decision on whether they're good at maths or not, and you obviously want to make them to make a positive decision. Now, for those of you with children older than 9, don't worry. They've either made a positive decision already, or if they haven't, we can turn it around, and we'll be talking about that today. So yeah, so in this particular child's case, by having individualized attention, by having a virtual tutor in this case, it could have been done with a private tutor, but we were able to identify the challenges that she had, unblock those, and what you can see with the blue progress bars, she's made progress across the topics with extra attention and progress in her weakest topic at the time. She now, not only has her mathematics improved, but she has a more rounded maths profile, and we're setting her up for confidence and future success. So that is the reality that we're facing when your child is at school. This applies to your child, it applies to your child's class. Every class has these challenges. So what are the benefits of getting individualized attention? Well, I tell you, when we first got this data years ago, I thought we were amazing. I thought, wow. And in a way, it is amazing what we've done, but actually it's not the way we do things that's so amazing. It's the power of individualized attention, and you can get similar results if you hire a private tutor. Essentially, where children get an hour of targeted individual attention specifically to their needs, complementing what they're receiving in school, you will typically see in fact, on average, over 18 months worth of learning progress in the first year, provided you get 60 minutes worth of access. Now, that rate of progress will vary from child to child, but you will certainly see some accelerated progress. And in fact, at Whizz Education, we provide a money back guarantee. So if you do 60 minutes a week on our virtual tutor, your learning progress will be more than a year in the space of a year. And as I said, on average, more than 18 months. It really makes a massive difference. So let's see how that plays out. So I'm going to, let's see if the internet's working. I'm going to log into Maths-Whizz as a student just to give you a sense of the experience. And there's 3 things I want you to look out for. One, that it's an engaging learning environment. Mathematics is a beautiful subject. Let children enjoy it. You'll notice how the tutoring is targeted to the individual learner, and that the system takes care of that for you. So as a parent, you don't have to worry about what to teach your child next. It'll be taken care of. And again, sort of complementing that engaging learning environment, we use some gamification to encourage independent learning. So what that means for you as a parent is, if you do want a few moments of peace and quiet, this is your chance. So let's quickly log in. Okay. Right, so I'm just going to move this to the side a minute. I'm going to log in over here with an imaginary child.
You've maintained your Whizz Apprentice status. Continue to win even more credits.
Okay, so we've now logged in as a child, and you can, one of the first things you'll notice is as they go through their weekly learning progress, they earn credits, they earn status, and we've had really, really good feedback about this. Because what we're trying to encourage is consistent, steady, ongoing access to the healthy amount of tutoring each week. And so students do respond to that and get and earn gems and progress through Maths-Whizz. But let's go to the learning piece. There's a Let's Go button here, so let's try that. And you've got a little visual here. This particular child has already been on a learning journey in the last few weeks. and you can see that she's been progressing. Every child's learning journey is different because every child's profile is different. And what we've got next, if we've got a lesson here, the important piece here is I didn't choose this lesson. You as a parent didn't choose this lesson, and the system chose the lesson because the system knows your child's strengths and weaknesses. And that's because, and we'll talk about this more a little bit later, when they first start using Maths-Whizz, there'll be an initial assessment to get that starting profile. So when your child logs in, we don't need to do any preparation. We just click play.
Are there enough chairs for these animals?
This is a fairly simple. This is a fairly simple lesson. It's for relatively young children. And what we're just going to learn about is estimate whether there are enough items. I'm not going to do the maths because it would be very embarrassing for someone with a maths degree to struggle with a relatively straightforward maths exercise, but I'm just going to introduce the concept. Maths-Whizz lessons are usually interactive and visual, as you can see here. They normally start with an introduction, and your child can control the pace of that introduction with the forward and backward buttons.
Are there enough chairs for these animals? Yes.
In this case, the introduction is just a worked example, and this is a super simple lesson. We're generally not fans of multiple choice, but this one will be a very simple multiple choice. It's a really nice starter lesson for younger children. When the introduction's finished.
Are there enough chairs for these animals?
We then get, as a child, we get then the opportunity to, to attempt the lesson. So let me see if I can get this right. Oh, those poor little animals didn't get a chair.
Are there enough chairs for these animals?
And with Maths-Whizz, we generally try to give the children a clue. So for example, I said no in this case, and in fact, the correct answer is there enough chairs, but we haven't actually given them the answer yet. Even in this very simple exercise, we're giving the child the opportunity to correct themselves. But what we've done is something either visual or textual or verbal to help them get an understanding. In this case, all the animals have moved over, and we can see there's an animal next to every chair. So we're starting to try and build that conceptual understanding, even at this very, very basic level. Obviously, for older children, when we're doing equations, probability, algorithms, that help will be more advanced. But you'll notice it even for younger children. So the whole time we're building their confidence. I don't propose to finish this lesson at this point in time because we don't have time, but I just wanted to give you a sense of the experience that your children will benefit from.
If you leave now.
Okay, so the takeaway here is there's a learning journey, and that the tutoring system will decide what to teach. And very importantly, it's not a fixed course of study, because if we did well in this lesson, the system will probably throw up a short test to make sure that your children are prepared for success in school tests. Similarly, if even with the interaction and the help, they're struggling, the tutoring system will maybe bring a more foundational, an easier lesson, or maybe an alternative explanation, alternative pedagogy. If you think about it, is exactly what a human tutor will do. And so, or sometimes, frankly, we'll just go on to another topic and maybe a week later bring back the same lesson because all your child needed was a fresh look at it. So it's not a fixed course of study, it's adapting from a lesson by lesson, from moment to moment basis. And that's because your child's learning journey needs that adaptability. It needs that tailoring to get the maximum effect. While we're here, I'll very quickly show you, there is a student environment. Students do like to, children, sorry, oh God, we got to feed our pet here, right? I haven't done that yet. The welfare officer will come around. We've got an avatar, so each child will be able to dress up their character whichever way they want. I won't do that right now because of time. Change their background, acquire different things to decorate their environment. I have to say, initially what that means is your students will probably want to spend more time than they really should on this. There are other elements of interaction and gamification that support learning directly. So for example, as you're progressing, challenging other students. So right now, as we're doing this seminar, there's 3,035 pupils getting individualized tutoring as we speak. So you can challenge other pupils to create that competitive environment and practice skills. There's leaderboards. As a parent from your login area, you'll be able to send a message to your child, and they love, let's face it, children love lots of things, but they want our attention as parents, right? So being able to send a message with lovely little stickers is great. They can add their buddies from their classroom or friends. So lots of things to create an engaging environment in relation to learning mathematics. We want to create that positive association. Right, in the interest of time, that's all I'm going to show you for the student experience. Let's move on. If you do have any questions, do ask Hannah on the chat, and we'll cover those a bit later. So let's move on to the next slide. I don't think you need to cover this. We kind of cover this. So lessons have a tutorial, interactive learning experience that introduces concepts and facilitates practice, and then periodic tests to prepare your child for success in school. When you sign up as parents, you will have your own login area. I'm not going to log into that to save time, but if you do want, stick around in the chat afterwards, and Hannah can always do a demo if you so like. There's really three things the main things you'll want to be doing in there is tracking that your children are actually using it in a healthy way, the right amount of usage each week, tracking that they're making progress, and actually getting a visual of your child's individual, what's their maths age and what are their strengths and weaknesses in different topics and how they're progressing. You'll be able to get that in your parental dashboard. In addition, you'll also be getting periodic email updates so that you know how your child's getting on. Right. The remainder of this session, I'm going to focus mostly on advice. It's the most important bit coming up. And let's start with what happens when your child first logs into Maths-Whizz. It'll start off, it initially doesn't know anything about your child. So we'll start off with an initial assessment just to find out what are the things your child likes, what do they not like, where are they struggling, where are they doing pretty well. And the assessment will come in the form of, frankly, it's the dullest part of Maths-Whizz, but there you go. Ooh, we've got someone who's raised hand. Let's have a look if I'm tech savvy enough to see what's going on there. So in chat. Hi, Hannah, can we share this with our child's school? Yes, a really good thing that the information is shareable with the school. You can print out the profile and share that. In fact, we'll talk a bit more about that in the best practice session coming up. Okay, going back to the initial assessment, it'll be a series of maths questions coming up. Here's an example of one. Just a few tips on that. First of all, the assessment normally lasts around, well, it varies from child to child. For younger children, maybe 30 minutes. For older children, it could be 45 minutes, an hour, or even more. First of all, don't feel the pressure to do it in one sitting. Everything your child does is automatically saved. You don't have to press save, it's automatic. So, you know, if you want to do it over 2 or 3 sessions, that's perfectly fine. A couple more very important tips. Please do not help them with this initial assessment. Ideally, don't even sit with them, because you know what children are like. They'll look into your eyes, and as a parent, your eyes can't lie. So I've seen this 100 times. So do not help them with the initial assessment. It's not really that important where they start. It's where we're taking them that matters. I laugh because I've seen it so many times. If your child is struggling with a question, there is a button that says don't know yet, and it's perfectly okay for them to press that. Don't put any pressure on them at all. The only time you might want to help them with the initial assessment, particularly for younger children, if they need help with reading the question, that's perfectly okay. But if they don't understand the question, just click don't know yet. It's okay. Let me see if I can. Oh, hello. There's some tips coming up here. That's, well, I think that's what I've just been talking about. So let's move on. Right. 3 key steps. Guys, this is for the parents listening in here. What Maths-Whizz will take care of the teaching and learning. for your child, and your children will enjoy that. But there are a few very simple things. It's really all about mindset that you as parents must take on to get the best for your child. And the first thing is 60 minutes a week is the key. If you take one thing away from this session, when you start, create a routine of 60 minutes a week. That can be split over 2 or 3 sessions, and you can find a weekly planner on our website, and we'll try and remember to send that in the follow-up email as well. You can decide, you could do it 10 minutes a day. You can do 2 or 3 sessions of 20 or 30 minutes a week. You might say after school on Thursday and Saturday morning, whatever works for you and your family. But do create a schedule, create a routine, and then stick with it. Turn that routine into a habit. And there'll be another note I'll cover on this. It's really important, that piece. And then finally, whether through the updates or I'd encourage you to log into the parent report area, once a week or certainly every couple of weeks, just to check that the usage, the progressions, and how their profile's developing. If you do those 3 things as a parent, you're going to see some great results. Let me just give you one additional piece with regard to sticking to that weekly routine. And I've got to tell you, this is where you guys make it or break it for your child as parents. All right. This is the most important part of this entire webinar. When your children start working on Maths-Whizz, they're going to be very engaged. It's new. Over 1,000 interactive lessons. They're all different. So this will keep them engaged for years to come. We cover material from reception all the way through to the end of grade 8. But we are tutoring ultimately to your child's ability. And so there's a lot in there. But inevitably, especially this day and age, novelty can wear off. And what we find is, not in all cases, but in many cases, somewhere between 3 and 6 weeks, your child may come up in that initial enthusiasm, in fact, of overusing it. And I would encourage you, if they're overusing them, take them off. Try to keep to the 60 minutes a week. But we call it the 3 to 6 week blues. And at some point, your child may come up to you and say, Mummy, Daddy, I don't want to do it anymore. And that is the defining moment, guys. If you accept that, they will probably come off Maths-Whizz or not use it in a disciplined way. And yes, you would have got an initial assessment and found out their maths age. Yes, you would have got some initial tuition, and that would be good for them. But is it going to make a sustainable, massive impact on them? No, you get that by continuing. And if you can help your child keep to their routine for another 3 or 4 weeks, whether that's by creating rewards or explaining them to the benefit and the need for it, or whichever way works for you and your child and your family, find a way to keep them going for the next 3 to 4 weeks. And what you'll find is that routine will now become a habit. So you'll start off with a child who's really happy, super enthusiastic, and probably overusing Maths-Whizz to a point where there's the blues. It's you as parents will make a difference whether they come out of it and back to turning Maths-Whizz usage into a habit, and whether they're continuing to be happy with it. If you do that, you're going to see amazing results for your child, and we'll cover that next. Okay? 3 to 6 week blues. Be mentally prepared for it and deal with it in the right way if and when it arises. It's the most important thing I can tell you today. Right, let's just bring this to a wrap here. So just some commonly asked questions. We do get asked about the initial assessment a lot. We've covered that already. Don't give your child the answers. Don't help them. Really important. It is okay to click don't know yet if they're struggling with something, but just let them get on with it. It's okay. Once that initial assessment's finished and the sort of tutoring actually starts, can you sit with them? The answer is yes, you can. We've had some lovely feedback of, parents who busy working. This is actually a time where they can sit together in a quality way. And actually, you can even help them a little bit. Don't help them too much. Don't give them the answers. But there's some nice quality time there. Equally, for most parents, let's face it, a few minutes of peace and quiet is something we all long for. And having the confidence and the sense of security that your child is doing something really productive is really satisfying. Because the tutoring system will adapt to your child's journey from moment to moment, you can allow them to get on with independent learning. That's perfectly all right. And in fact, it's the most common way that Maths-Whizz is done. Ideally on a desktop or a tablet, because the larger the screen, the higher the quality of the learning experience. So tablets are fine, desktops are fine. Smartphones, yeah, if you have to, but frankly, you'll have a better experience on bigger screens. If you do the things we've discussed in this session, what can you expect for your child? Well, I can tell you within 3 months, you'll have visible progress in the reports. Their maths age will have progressed a little bit, but you'll actually start to sense it in your child. You'll see their confidence. You'll notice their affection for mathematics. You'll see those things, even more so within 6 months. And frankly, if you've sustained this for a year or more, it'll be transformative. We've literally seen children who were struggling in maths become top of the class. Your teacher will notice. You will notice. So don't just keep Maths-Whizz for a year. Keep it throughout their school career, because you'll see massive progress in year 1, where blockages that were unresolved before are now resolved and they're able to move forward. And it's very important. This is really in complement to what the amazing work your teachers are doing with your child, because the teachers in class are delivering the curriculum. They're looking eye to eye with your child. They're inspiring your child. This is really complementary and in support of what's happening in school. And in fact, actually, Maths-Whizz is taken on by many schools to support almost as an assistant to the real teacher, so that the individual needs of every child can be filled. So you'll see great progress as blockages are unblocked. But even in future years, you'll see stable, sustained progress. And then whenever any blockages do arise, they're addressed very, very quickly. Okay, let me just have a quick look. There seems to be some more questions coming up. Let's see. Okay, some questions. Looks like Hannah and others are dealing with that. So I'll move on. Let's bring this to, how are we doing for time? Oh gosh, half an hour's nearly up. So let's go to the action points. Right, your next steps. In fact, let's just type this all out. Right, guys, the school disruption is still happening. Hopefully you're going back to school, but just get on with it. Sign up, go to whizz.com/parents. You'll get a 7-day free trial, whether you do an annual or a monthly subscription. Very easy sign up. I'm going to just very quickly show that to you. Yep, so go to whizz.com. There on the first page, sign up there. And for parent sign-ups, here's the cost. Think of a private tutor, which typically these days costs around £50 an hour. You can get a year of tuition for 150 quid. It's just amazing value for money, much better value than a monthly. Monthly subscriptions are really for people who've come on board and haven't been able to access this webinar. Now that you're informed, it's a no-brainer. Do go to the annual, because that committed mindset is where you need to be at in any case. Just to support you and to thank you for taking the time and investing in your child's development, as you sign up, you'll get the free week trial. You'll add your parent details. It will ask you for credit card details, which should only be then charged a week later. Enter webinar-C-20, you'll get 20% off. So for £120, you'll get a year of tuition. For those of you logging in from around the world, do look at the website. There's often local currency versions and local curriculum versions. So for example, I know there's quite a few people logging in from Dubai today. So go to the website. You can pay in dirhams, for example. So do that. The voucher code is valid to the end of Sunday. We want to reward you for taking action, and there is an advantage of taking action soon. So please do so. Then let your child log in, let your child do the initial assessment, find out their maths age. It's really interesting to know their maths age, but don't get married to that number. It really doesn't matter that much. It's where we're taking them that matters. So, but it's a point of curiosity. And then the magic stuff, 60 minutes a week, make sure you stick to it, check progress, and you're going to get great results. If you really want to invest in getting the best for your child, for more guidance, go to this part of our website. there's a webinar, there's a number of webinars there for parents by our Director of Education, where the advice we've touched on will be covered in more detail. And finally, any questions are not resolved for you today, email support@whizz.com. Hannah and her team just love helping you guys. That's what we're about. It's the reason we exist. We want to help you get the best for your child, because maths is an amazing subject. It's so important for their confidence and self-esteem. And there's zero reason why not every single child can't do really very well in this wonderful subject. Great, that's a wrap from my side. Thank you for joining us. We're just over 30 minutes, and I'm going to stay on for any questions. I'd welcome you to stay on for a little bit more just to see what's coming up in the chat. How do I even get to the chat? That's the next thing. Here we go. We've got lots of chat questions. Excellent. Hang on. Oh, I'm making a mess of this. Right. Okay. So we've got a child here. This is a parent who's already subscribed to Maths-Whizz and actually did help them with the initial assessment. And you're quite right. It makes it a little bit hard. You want the initial assessment to assess where your child's at this moment in time, not obviously assess you as a parent. What I would say, I think this is from Audrey, just email support@whizz.com and the support team will guide you through resetting the assessment. One thing I'll tell you all, in the parent login area, and we haven't had time to look at it today, you'll find on the bottom left a button of every screen, or nearly every screen, that's called Whizz Assist. You click on it, and Hannah and her team are monitoring that all day long, and we have a response time of around 10 seconds. So if you have a question, ask it there and then. You'll get support there and then when you most need it. Okay, looks like some questions are already being covered by my able colleagues. Hannah, I don't know if any questions have come up that you haven't answered yet, you think would be of broad benefit to everyone. Perhaps turn your mic on and let me know.
Yep, so I think we've answered all of the questions. We've just got a comment from someone saying that they're currently using this at their school and they're really happy, which is great. So let's have a look. I have 3 children.
Hannah, let's expand on that. For those of you where your school's already got Maths-Whizz, that's great, because it's wonderful that as parents, you guys have joined this and are looking to see how you can be proactive in supporting your child. It's frankly even better when the school's involved and your teacher has access to that same data that you have and can drive the usage and marry in. So if your parents and you're new to Maths-Whizz, sign up to Maths-Whizz, but do get in touch with us and let us know what your child's school is at, and we'll proactively reach out to them and encourage them to, if you want, to share the data for your child, only with your permission, of course. But secondly, see if the school is interested in taking that on and actually driving the healthy levels of usage. Okay, we've got also any other questions coming up, Hannah?
No. Oh, how do we recover the parent account for a student? Okay, I'll send you some instructions how to do that now. Yeah. Or what you can do is, if you forget your password at any point, just go to whizz.com and your username will always be your email address, and then you can just click forgotten password and you'll get sent a link. Because your child is at Aga Khan, I presume that you've already got a parent account.
She may have forgotten the parent. So here's, I'll just demonstrate what you've just said, Hannah. So you go to the whizz.com homepage, go to login. Your username as a parent is always your email address, as Hannah said. And if you've forgotten your password, just click forgotten password. And we'll get that sent over to you.
So there's a question here as well. It's probably for you or Junaid. Does this work with all curriculums?
Really great question. So let me just go full, I can't remember how to go full screen, so I'll just answer that directly. So first of all, we have Maths-Whizz. For schools, we have other resources as well, and they are aligned to local curricula. We're in about 9 different countries where we have the alignments in place. But what I would say is the Maths-Whizz tutoring system itself for example, if you are logging in from Dubai, the currency lessons will be dirham lessons rather than pounds and pence. But the actual lessons that your child receives are not aligned to what grade they're in or the curriculum. The lessons they receive are aligned to your child's ability, they're going to get the lesson that they most need. And that's a really important concept to understand. You could have a child that's in grade 3, but frankly is struggling with basic concepts and really needs some foundational material from grade 2 or even grade 1. The tutoring system really doesn't care about the curriculum or what grade your child's in. What the tutor cares about is your child and what they need. Similarly, you know, some of you may have children who are, you know, in a way it's an equal challenge where they're actually quite advanced and bored in class because they don't feel challenged. The Maths-Whizz system will provide lessons at the right level of challenge for your child. So the Maths-Whizz system is aligned to your child, not any specific curriculum. It's to your child. Any other questions coming through, Hannah?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, we are 11 minutes over. Guys, thank you for coming in from all over the world. Really appreciate the fact that you've taken time to find out how you can better support your child. This was targeted primarily for people who are not that familiar with Maths-Whizz, but it's nice to see that some who are already using Maths-Whizz joining as well. And you know, if you're new to Maths-Whizz, do sign up by Sunday. Get on board, get your child started, and do email support@whizz.com for any help that you might need. And all the best for your child and enjoying great progress. Thank you very, very much for joining.